So, boys, give us the verdict. Do you think cricket's ever, even with the new formats, do you think it's ever going to take off in the United States?
No.
No.
Welcome back to Maturing Cheddar, episode 13, bringing you a variety of cross-Atlantic viewpoints from the UK and US about this weird and wonderful world that we live in. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and follow us on Instagram at Maturing Cheddar. As usual, we appreciate all feedback, so please leave comments where possible. We have the full team here today, Lewis, Todd, Hemel, and myself, Ryan, and we'll be carrying on our conversations about UK versus US sports, part 2.
As a UK person, and focusing on like UK sports, you got like football, rugby are quite big, and then cricket. Cricket's had a revival over the last couple of years with a new format of 2020 being brought in, which I quite like. I'm not like an old school cricket connoisseur of stuck to the test match stuff, and this will mean nothing to the American listeners. But essentially, cricket is just a better version of baseball. I'm just going to put that out there and say it. And looking at American sport, I find basketball the most interesting. It's the most free-flowing, and the game just continually goes. NFL, okay, fair enough, bit of strategy involved. But I think cricket is one of those sports which is reinventing itself. Recently it's came up with a new format, the 100. I actually think it's quite cool. I really like cricket and think it's not as difficult as people make out to explain. Because Ryan, you were saying earlier that you've taken time to learn the games out in America or the sports there. I think cricket is top notch, to be honest. But bat me down, guys, if you think.
I mean, I used to play cricket a lot back in my youth. I think, the cricket rules they're not super complicated. I think overall it's just a strange game. So if you try to explain cricket to someone who has no knowledge of what it is at all, it's just really hard. And cricket's not big in America at all, right? So trying to explain it so in America is tough. But I agree that cricket is some formats of the game are extremely boring. For Test cricket, for example, is a cricket game which is played over the course of 5 days. I mean, who can watch a game for 5 days?
I've got the explanation, how to explain cricket to a foreigner. This is a poem or a rhyme I heard when I was very young, and it stuck with me. I've just got it up.
What's this poem coming out? Listeners in for a treat. Right, here we go. Mute the mics.
Yeah, listen close because the accent might not do this justice. So, cricket explained to a foreigner. You have two sides, one out in the field and one in. Each man that's in the side that's in the field goes out, and when he's out comes in, and the next man goes in until he's out. When a man goes out to go in, the men who are out try to get him out, and when he's out, he goes in, and the next man goes in and goes out and goes in. When they're all out, the side that's out comes in, and the side that's been in goes out and tries to get those coming in out. Sometimes there are men still in and not out. There are men called umpires who stay out all the time, and they decide when the men who are in are out. Depending on the weather and the light, the umpires can also send everybody in, no matter whether they like it in or out. When both sides have been in, all the men are out, including those who are not out. Then the game is finished.
Yeah, pretty simple, right? That's what I'm telling you.
Yeah, I got every single word of that.
I confused myself during it too, to be honest.
Are we doing okie dokie or what? You know what? I agree with you. I think the 2020 game is brilliant. Like I watched I watched that World Cup. What are they playing in World Cup? It's 100, isn't it? Is it 100?
ODIs, one day international. So yeah, it's 50 overs each team.
Oh, I don't know. I didn't watch it all, but I watched the end. Amazing, entertaining.
Do you want to give cricket a quick run over for someone who's not familiar with it, Lewis?
Me?
Yeah.
Are you having a laugh? I don't know what's going off still. Isn't Ryan the one who used to watch Indian Premier League? One of the top 5 most profitable leagues in the world, I think. So, Ryan, over to you. I think you got to give a. All right, I'll be the dummy because I'm a bit.
All right.
I'll be the dummy, and I'll ask you a bit of a super question. So, right, Ryan. I would, how do I win in cricket?
So you want to score more runs than the other team?
What's a run?
So a run is when you hit the ball and then you run to the other end of a pitch, and that's counted as one run.
Okay.
And if you can hit the ball far enough, then you don't have to run. It will go over this thing called the boundary, and you can just get 4 runs if it goes over the boundary after bouncing. But if it goes over the boundary line without bouncing, you'll get 6 runs.
Oh, so that's kind of like a home run with a little bit of a difference.
Yeah.
Oh, great. I'd rather hit loads of those home runs so I don't have to run. So when I run, how many people are running? Do I run to first base or second base? What's going on there?
So there'll be 2 of you on the pitch, and you just run to the other end, and the guy who's at the end that you're running to runs to your end. So you just swap, just run past each other.
So I'm doing my... Oh, so there's 2 of us who are batting.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic! Right, so I've got a mate on pitch. I'm batting. How can the person throw the ball? What's he called?
He's called the bowler.
Right, and
then,
how can he get me out?
So he can. So when you're batting, behind you there'll be some wooden stumps. So if you let the ball through, it goes past you and they hit the stumps, then you have to leave. Or if you hit the ball in the air and someone catches it without it bouncing, you have to leave. And then there's a few other like smaller ways to get out, but those are the main ways.
And what's the referee called?
He's called the umpire, and there's 2 of them on the pitch as well.
Fantastic. I think we've covered everything there. I understand cricket. Get out and play it, folks. How many people on each team?
11.
In total or on the pitch?
11 on each team. On the pitch at any time there'll be 11 people on the field, and then 2 people batting, so 13.
Okay, great. I think we've got everything there. All right, so we've got to run through. Now we've got to explain why it's exciting, because test day, as I understand it, down at Lords, you didn't go and watch the cricket, you went and got drunk, right?
Oh yeah.
So how's that changing, Todd? Because you said it's changing so that people actually go and watch the sport, basically, rather than just get drunk.
Yeah, so Test cricket, as Ryan said, can last up to 5 days, and it's one team comes in and then goes out, and the next one's in and out. Whereas with what's called 2020, whenever a bowler's bowling, 6 balls counts as like 1 over. So you've got 20 overs, so 120 balls to face as a team, and you're trying to get the highest score. So it's basically like a quick fire format of the game. And so even my mum, she'll sit down, you watch these big shots and guys sprinting really hard to get between the wickets to score runs and get their tally up as high as possible. And it's played a lot faster, which just means like it's a lot more exciting, because so if you equate it to baseball, where like every pitch they're trying to hit the ball, in cricket, every single ball they are swinging at it mad to score 6 runs, or they're sprinting as hard as they can when really they maybe shouldn't be, against the fielders trying to like get them run out. So it's just a lot more exciting, because it puts the pressure on getting a high score in a short amount of time.
Right. Okay. That's it.
And yeah, and now they brought in this new form that Todd was talking about, called the 100, which is just a little bit shorter than the 20 over game. So it should theoretically be even more exciting. And funny enough, to pick the players for the teams, they actually did a draft, like they do in America for the NFL and basketball. They drafted cricket players from all over the world. So they have first round draft for the best players, second round draft, and so on.
So is that people like, I've heard of people like Ben Stokes, is he in that draft?
Yeah, I think he was one of the top picks of the draft, actually. Right now, he's one of the best players in the world.
So, how does an American get into cricket?
Actually, interesting. I've played cricket here once in America.
Were you pretty good because you're British?
Uh, so I think it's kind of there's a few English and also people from like India, and there's no Americans that play here. But they just have like a kind of community to like a community club that they play with, and we went and played. But the problem is that the facilities are so bad because they don't really. There's not any money invested into the facilities for cricket, so it's not as enjoyable. Like pitches to play on is super bad. They like don't cut the grass very well and all this.
Could you not play in a basketball field? Not a basket. That was silly. A basketball field. You're not playing a baseball field and just put some twigs in there.
Twigs. I mean, you need like pretty much like a perfect circular pitch, and the part that you like run on and you bowl the ball on is like special material. It's almost like a cork kind of material that has to be well kept. Has to have a groundskeeper every day. So because of that, you can't really play on the baseball field unless it had those characteristics.
So, boys, give us the verdict. Do you think cricket's ever, even with the new formats, do you think it's ever going to take off in the United States?
No.
No.
What's stopping it, in my opinion, is the fact that people don't really understand how it's played or don't understand the rules. And you've already got so many sports in the US that aren't as popular in the rest of the world. Look at baseball, basketball to a certain extent, and American football. They're all very US focused sports, and there's a lot of competition for attention. If you're a sports fan, you're basically getting thrown sports, and especially I'm sure you guys in the US when you put on the TV channel, when you put the TV on, there's like 40-50 different channels dedicated to sports. And here we just have like 10. So I think once people have an understanding of how cricket works, especially the 2020 game, I think they will get quite sucked into it. And I think it's like I said, it's fast paced, very active game, and I think people will like that.
Right, that's a good point. But quick question then for Todd and Hemel, and then I'll throw the same question to Ryan. American there coming over, they're like, right, big sports fan. I want to check out some new sports in England. Where should I go? Money's not a problem, and just pretend you can get the tickets. Where should I go? I've got to pick 3 top ticket games. Where should I go? Time of year is not a problem as well. What are the sporting events in England that like you've got to go and check out?
Cricket at Lords. If we're on the topic of cricket, I think cricket at Lords is probably a good shout because home of cricket essentially. I would say so. I'd say cricket at Lords. A 2020 game at Lords.
I'd say an Old Firm derby up in Scotland. I think it's
nice fun.
It's a football derby, or a soccer derby for the Americans, but it's steeped in like a rivalry which is like driven by, well, quite frankly, sectarianism. It's like 2 different sides of Christianity, Protestant and Catholic. So it's just fueled differently, and even today, like it just still like. If you're watching it on TV, your blood would just start boiling for no reason at all. Even the commentators biasedly just get into it and start slating the other team. So it would be some experience for a complete neutral. I'd probably be like the most extreme football derby in the UK. I think around the world you'll have like other ones in Turkey and like down in Brazil and Argentina where the fans are mental as well. But I think in the UK you'd want to go to the Old Firm derby for an experience and a half.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely go to one of these derbies. Cricket, like, wouldn't recommend. Even though I used to play cricket, Rugby.
Twickenham's a good day out.
Is it a good day out? I've never been to a rugby game. I used to play a bit back in the day, but
I think it's kind of like just going to. It's probably an American fan who goes to NFL every week would probably say going to Twickenham's like a lesser version of a big NFL day, because from what I've seen, the NFL supporters they'll go in the parking lot, they'll have food and drink, then they'll go into the stadium, maybe back out and in again. Twickenham's just a great day of traveling to the stadium, having a few beers, getting a burger or a samosa from the different stands, the food stalls along the walk. Then you're in the stadium mixed with other fans. A few drinks in there, singing some songs. You could be sitting beside an opposition fan, so giving them a bit of stick and talking about the game. And then afterwards, you leave and meander onto a pub down the road and stuff. So it's a really nice, friendly atmosphere of a day. Whereas the football, it's quite strict and segregated, and no alcohol in the terraces and stuff like that. So it's a wee bit more of a different environment.
do you know what you can do as a American sports fan coming to London? Well, in the last 2 years, do you know what you can do now? What you can watch?
What I mean, American fan, in terms of they want to watch their home sports.
Yeah. So if American comes over to London, they can just watch the NFL in London now, can't they?
Yeah, Tottenham Hotspur.
Oh yeah.
And that a pitch rolls on and off in the stadium to let the NFL guys play. It's quite cool.
Yeah, this year the NFL they're holding 2 games at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, 2 games at Wembley, and I think that was an increase from last year. Last year they only held 2 games in London, and next year they might even be planning to hold more. So NFL's trying to get a bigger presence in London.
Oh, that's weird.
I don't know how it works at Wembley. I don't know if it's a roll-on, roll-off pitch as well, because it must destroy the grass.
Yeah, it does. It's like when the whole concerts at Wembley, they can only do it in a certain time of year, in around end of May, June time after the football season. And the NFL is the same. They have to plan it whenever there's no international games for England, and it's well before any cup finals. So I think the first cup final of the season is in around February time, the League Cup final. So they got to hold it in Wembley in a certain time where it gives them 4 weeks to repair the pitch, because you NFL guys just maul the pitch to death. It's worse than a rugby game being played on it. It's just destroyed.
Yeah, because all the equipment they're wearing, even just because they're wearing helmets, every time their head smashes into the floor, it's going to carve out a huge piece of grass.
It's like a moon crater.
I thought it was these NFL teams, when they travel, the amount of work it takes to transport everything. So if you think about it, they all have like 53 players on their roster.
What?
That's just the players, and then all the coaching staff, the physios, the doctors, and all the equipment.
All right, hold on a minute, mate. 53 players. So I know you've got your attackers, defenders, and special teams, but I was reading on the news the other day about classrooms going above the size of 30 in the UK. And I remember whenever my first class I was in had 30 kids, and they're talking about teachers struggling to remember 30 kids' names, how it impacts your education. How does a coach remember 53 players' names? He's just going to stand there who is this guy? I have not seen you in weeks.
I don't know. Hopefully he would remember. I guess that's part of his job, isn't it, to remember?
Yeah. 53 players? Wow. That is insane.
And they have to bring all their equipment as well.
Kits. Yeah. That's like moving a little town.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Imagine the cost of having to transport it all to London.
Lewis, do you know anything similar with the F1? Because I know you've been to 1 or 2 Grand Prix, and I've only seen it on TV, but they've got the big motorhomes and everything for F1 teams. Is it kind of like moving a little town as well?
Oh yeah, way more, I'd say, because you've got if you want an example, they've got the Mexican GP this weekend, and then in 1 week after that, they're going to go to Austin. Long enough though, and it's counted as a flyaway because most of the F1 teams are based in England. 2 of them based in 2 of them based in Italy, and then 1 of them based in Switzerland. So we've got 2 F1 cars each team. That's 20 cars. each race team is then made up of, I'd say, around, let's just say, 100 people minimum, that have got to pack all the stuff, including the cars. You've got drivers, you've got their physios, you've got their trainers, you've got the event staff. So F1 takes around, it's not marshals, it's stewards, it's event organizers, it's doctors. It's got 3 medical cars that he takes around. So logistically, this is a massive challenge, and F1 owns at least one jumbo jet, which all of that freight is taken in, and then the drivers and stuff will get a chartered plane if they want, or they'll just go on an easy. There's even cases where they've gone on easy jets, just to get there and back quickly and cheaply. So yeah, getting all that across there's a logistical nightmare. And like I said, F1 itself owns a jumbo jet to get that around. During what we call home races, which is the European season, they'll have these motorhomes. They drive around. They're just big lorries, essentially, big trucks, big rigs that just drive around the cars. Maybe each team will have 2 of them, but drive around the cars and the hospitality unit, which are just incredible. They're like flat pack IKEA, but just on steroids, that just pop out into like their own like structure that's gonna look amazing, and you can host people. So I think following that circuit, they call it, half the time they call it a circus, because you're following around all these people that are just popping up in one place and then take it down and pop up in another. But definitely it seems like a really weird and boring name, but I'd love to like follow them around one of these back-to-back flyaway races, because the guys, they have to, they'll be packing up mid-race basically, so that they can get ready and be there, because they've got to be there and ready to go on the Wednesday of the next weekend. So that's less than 3 days to pack, get everything down, travel wherever you're traveling to, then get it all back up. Could talk about that for ages though. Yeah.
Which is kind of insane, from if you think about a sporting point of view, say take football in the UK, you've got your home stadium, and really the furthest you'll travel, I think in the UK, is like Plymouth to Newcastle, in England, which is like 500 miles or something by road. So you do that journey, whether you're a fan or a club, but then you automatically, after the game, which is on one day, lasts for a couple of hours, you travel straight back home within the day, and that's you done. F1, travels around the world, and your quickest turnaround is, as you were saying, race on a Sunday, you got to be at the new location by a Wednesday. So you got a 3-day time to turn around and essentially pick up your little town and move it somewhere else. And I think in the US sports round, they play a series, is it, every time they go away, because you're talking thousands of miles now if you're playing coast to coast in the US, but I think they split it in some way, but they'll still play a couple of games. If let's say the Boston Red Sox went down to Miami, they'd play 3 games in a row. Or have I got that totally wrong?
I mean, for baseball, that's definitely the case.
Right.
They just play day after day, but NFL and basketball, I think they might play multiple games, but for NFL, it's just one game and then back to the home base.
Right.
I mean, definitely credit due to these people who organise everything. You never hear about, like in F1, do you ever hear about a team just like forgetting something and they're just unable to function properly? You never hear about this, right?
No. It's a thing in motorsport. You got to survive. It doesn't just mean win on the racetrack. It means win in every department. Like, if someone breaks a front wing or breaks a structure, there's been a crash with there's been a crash in one of the sessions. Those parts have got to be fixed. The race isn't going to be held up. It's not going to say, oh, well, we'll wait for him to, get his parts here and, then we'll start the race. It's like, nah, if you miss the race, you miss the race. Unlucky, mate. So, yeah, definitely good shout there, Ryan, to give those unsung heroes a big clap, because they give up a big portion of their life. It's interesting you talked about the Plymouth to Newcastle, Todd. So for anyone who doesn't know, in the US. That's like the very north of England to the very southern western tip of England. And I know that there's football players who often had the Plymouth cough or the the Plymouth hamstring. Just they go to their like manager and go, "Oh, I'm a bit tight. I think I've done my leg," and it's because they've got to go down to Plymouth. There's no easy way to get there. There's no shortcut. You can't really get a plane or anything. Even if money wasn't an object, you've got to go by coach. That's like the quickest way. And it's like, you could get to Bristol and then it's still a 5-hour drive. So people will literally say, "Oh, I can't do this one because they've got a game on Tuesday or the game the next week, and they just want to, that's a big game, big derby game or something, and they want to do that one." So it's funny you said that, because you won't get that in F1 or you won't get that in many other sports, even in the US sports, where they look at the next race and go, "Might miss this one because it's Mexico. I don't really want to go. I want to be there for the USA." It's crazy.
This is like a bit of a tangent, but it's an interesting point where it's like in these sports which we all follow and like are excited by when they come on TV, what is the equalizer between us and them? Because like you were saying about your friend in America, he thought this was going to be a slow speed corner, and the F1 car just went straight through it, and he totally missed it. Whenever we're going to Plymouth, whether you're Ronaldo or like Joe Bloggs, you still got to take that 5-hour coach from the nearest airport type thing. Like you are sitting on a coach or on a train. Whereas like when it comes to professional sports, there's not too many times a person can experience really what a professional sports person's doing. Like the speed they move at, the impact they're hitting with, the physicality in that game. It's kind of hard to transfer to the normal person to appreciate what they do. But the unsung heroes, who set up the infrastructure, who the kit man, the canteen ladies, these are people within sports clubs that are critical to the players performing, who we actually could relate to and could be. It's kind of a weird one, but I don't think about it too often. You just made me did.
This has been Maturing Cheddar with episode 13. Hope you sports fans and non-sports fans have enjoyed. Again, find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, YouTube and Instagram. All feedback is welcome. See you guys next week. Bye.